All right, we are back at it. Camp Abilities, woo woo. We're moving on to our B, which is brakes for the advanced ABC, bike training and bike safety. So I just got done putting this tire back on from our air. So you can see my brake is still fully disconnected here. So first thing that I need to do is reconnect the brake from putting the tire back on. So for this, I'm going to squeeze these two together, and you can see on the top it has this little hole lip here. So you want to make sure that this gets locked in there. So I'm going to bring this through, give it a squeeze, and get that all the way in there so it's nice and tight. Okay. So what are some adjustments we can do for our brake? One, after actually checking to see if your brakes work, if they don't work and they're not stopping the bike, there's a few things we want to check out for the brakes. One, you want to look at your brake pads here and make sure that they are not worn away or that they haven't for some reason turned and are not in line with your rim here. So these are pretty good. They could actually be lifted a little bit, and you can adjust your brake pads with an Allen wrench here, loosening it up, and then you can lift this a little bit higher so it's right in the middle, but it's pretty good for the most part there. If they get worn away and you can squeeze it and they never touch because they're too worn, you can buy brand new brake pads for it. So with this braking mechanism, there's a couple different adjustments. So the first one is the brake pads on either side. You can adjust the brake pads here. Okay. The other one is up top here. This is the wire that connects up to your brake. So sometimes if it's super loose, what happens, this might get loosened and it might pull all the way through. And even with reconnecting it, you squeeze this as much as you can and it's still not activating your brake pads and squeezing it on the rim. You want to go ahead and adjust this. So Allen wrenches are tools that typically look like an L. You can get them in multi-packs. You can get them in a set that comes all together. Another great bike tool to have is Allen wrenches. They sell a 3-prong Allen wrench that really fits any Allen wrenches on a standard bike, which is really, really nice. I have that in my actual bike toolbox. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out which best fits, and there's 2 different measurements. So there's metrics, and then there's the other kind, I forget. So this one fits really good in here. So what I can do is I can loosen this up and then pull this wire if I need to get more tension, or loosen it if it's rubbing. And so one way to tell if your brakes are rubbing, which is causing resistance when you're riding, is to just lift up your bike and spin. And you shouldn't be able, that was my shoe, you shouldn't be able to hear the brakes hitting at all. Okay, so you don't want them too tight that they're actually hitting and causing you resistance when you're riding, but you don't want them too loose that you have to pull so far back to be able to brake. So again, this one up top, I can adjust. These also have what's called a spring-loaded line right here. And there's a little screw here that you can, if for some reason this is shifted over to the left side and this one's rubbing, you can go ahead and use this screw and tighten it. And what it does is it pulls this little resistance over, which shifts your brakes to the left side to really stop one from rubbing. So again, if these are out, clearly that could be an error that's causing braking difficulties. So this gets tucked right behind this arm here. And it really just helps because it locks in and kind of balances out this brake system here. So you can use a screwdriver and tighten that up to try to get it directly in line. So if you come to the front of it, you can see that these are pretty balanced. What you don't want to see is that where this one is too tight and is pulling the brakes over to one side. So that's going to cause this one here to always be rubbing on your rim and this one never to work. So you want to make sure that it's balanced. So those are the 2 different screws that you can use to balance that off. The last part in adjusting your brakes is up top here where your brake levels are is you have two different screws here. So what this does is inside is the wire that runs all the way down. And so if you feel like this is too much give to break and you want to tighten it, you're going to go ahead and extend and twist this by loosening it outward. And then this is your locking nut. All right, so I'm twisting that out, which is pulling that wire, which then makes it easier to break. So it's a lot tighter of a break here. You shouldn't have to use all fingers to engage your break. Really just two should be able to. So these are small adjustments that you can make to get the brakes exactly how you like. This is the left for your front, and then the right side, again, is for the back. And this bike has the same braking mechanism. So if you want to do small adjustments, you can do small adjustments. If it's not working at all, you need to inspect the brake on the back. Now, let me pull up my other bike. This has a little bit different adjustments. Remember, that's the hard thing. Every bike is totally different. All right, so this one, like the spring loaded on the other bike, it has the screw here. So this lifts it up, which pulls this arm over. So that's what helps balances this brake system out. So you can adjust this screw. And then you also have the ability here to adjust the pads. So you can lift them up, right, and get them in a good position that they're right on the rim like they are right now. And if for some reason it's twisted or turned, you want to make sure that it's level with your rim. The other adjustment I have here is my quick release. So if you look at the brakes, you can see as I do this, they open. They move further away. So I could actually tighten this wire here through this nut of the Allen wrench, pull the wire down, and then it would pull these in. So then I would have a little bit more. But right now, I can move this all the way down to close, which is how I like it. And then it's at a good position where it's just slightly off my rim. So I can adjust here. Or I also have this knob here to be able to pull the wire a little bit further away. I have this one here because these brakes, unlike the other bike I showed you, they don't have any adjustments here to be able to adjust the wire. So if I want to have that slight adjustment of my pull, there's no wires within here, so I have to do it on this brake wire here. So I can do small adjustments with this knob like you would see in the other bike. The last set of brakes are, let me bring over another bike, are disc brakes. Good thing I have so many bikes, huh? All right, so this is your last set of brakes that I have to show you. So this is called a disc brake because it actually has a disc, kind of very similar to how we brake in cars. And then in here, it has two pads that squeeze on the disc to go ahead and brake it, to brake the bike. These are a lot more complicated to adjust. They do have different ways to do adjustments. Many times what happens is if your disc gets bent, that's going to cause some resistance and friction. Or if the pads within that squeeze on your disc are worn away, then you have to get those changed. But if we go up to the top and look here, they have the same adjustments that you can make to be able to tighten and loosen for the brakes to be able to get that adjustment. So you can see these are a lot tighter. It's a mountain bike. You want to be able to have a lot quicker reaction for those brakes. But disc brakes are definitely a lot harder. You might have to take them into a bike shop to get them looked at, comparative to the other ones where we can do lots of the adjustments at home. All right, that's your B for ABCs of bike safety. We covered how to now adjust your brakes and make sure that they're working properly. All right, moving on to the C.